like the Affordable Care Act more than Obamacare?
Because I don't like Obama.
But you like the Affordable Care Act?
Yeah.
What if I told you Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are the same thing? And which plan do you support, Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act?
The Affordable Care Act.
And what is it about Obamacare that you do not like?
I just think that there's a lot of holes in it and it needs to be revamped.
What do you agree with, Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act?
I'm more towards the Affordable Care Act, but I'm also very sympathetic for people that don't have the ability to have proper medical insurance.
So the Affordable Health Care Act is still a better option than
Yes.
Obamacare?
Yes.
And why do you not agree with the Affordable Care Act?
Well, I think it's not really available for all.
Guys, the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare are the same thing.
You know what's really funny? For years, so many Americans, especially Republicans, proudly said they were against Obamacare but supported the Affordable Care Act. The twist, they are the same exact thing. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Amy, and people are just now realizing that Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act, and the timing couldn't be worse, because with the ongoing government shutdown drama, lawmakers are still debating whether to renew the ACA funding that makes health insurance affordable for millions. And if Congress doesn't act soon, those extra subsidies that lower monthly premiums will expire by the end of 2025. That means starting next year, millions of Americans could see their health insurance cost skyrocket. And we are talking about hundreds of dollars more every single month. So the same people who once said get rid of Obamacare might be the ones crying the loudest when they lose the Affordable Care Act coverage they didn't realize they had. Talk about irony, right? So let's get into it.
Obamacare was not a disaster, and I really wish y'all would stop spreading that lie. And it's got to be because either A, you're too young to remember what the financial market and environment looked like back in like 2006, 2008, or you got a very short memory. I entered the workforce back in 2006, the same year I entered college, and the minimum wage was $5.15 an hour. Maybe 1 or 2 years after that, it was $6.55 an hour. At $5.15 an hour, $6.55 an hour, you were not getting insurance through the company. I remember that vividly. That premium was going to at least eat up 1 week of your check, and you only making $200 a week anyway. And you for damn sure wasn't going to get it privately because the premiums are even higher. This is why people back in the day told y'all, get a job with the post office, get a job with the city, get a job with the state, work for the government. Why? Because you may not get rich working for the government, but them benefits are going to make sure you're taken care of. But if you want to know the value of the ACA, you can just look at the benefits they celebrate. Do you know how many people were denied coverage due to pre-existing conditions? Do you understand how many people had the prices of their insurance jacked up just because they got sick? Y'all are harder on this legislation than y'all are on the companies that cause need for legislation. High premiums existed long before the Affordable Care Act. High deductibles existed long before the Affordable Care Act. Medical debt definitely existed long before the Affordable Care Act. In fact, medical debt has always been one of the leading causes of bankruptcy in the United States. The Affordable Care Act was originally meant to be a step toward universal health care. The problem is nobody else has taken another step to actually accomplish the goal of universal health care for citizens of the United States.
All of these Trump voters admitting that they didn't realize that Obamacare was the Affordable Care Act when they vehemently hated Obamacare is one of the most openly racist things I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't understand how they don't have the critical thinking and the thought process to just know not to say that out loud because of just how simply racist it is that they were so against Obamacare just because they associated it with Obama, which was the point. That's why Republicans coined Obamacare, so that racist people would hate it without understanding what it was. And that's exactly what they're admitting happened by saying they hated Obamacare and they thought Trump was going to get rid of Obamacare, but they have the Affordable Care Act.
Norway, United Kingdom, Brazil, they all have free healthcare for their citizens. Countries like Australia and France have free healthcare for their citizens, but they may have copays in certain situations. But copays. Why do we not have free healthcare in our country? Oh, fearless leader, I shouldn't say that. Donald Trump has been saying for 10 years, I'm working on it. We'll have it planned out in 2 weeks. He said that his whole 4 years, his first term. Who's saying it now? MAGA Mike Johnson saying, well, we got to get rid of Obamacare. We got to get rid of Obamacare. Yet he doesn't come up with a game plan for replacing Obamacare. Obamacare was a starting point. Then you build from Obamacare. You build onto that. You make it work. And it's been working for millions of Americans across the country. Now you're going to rip it away just to give millionaires and billionaires the tax breaks that you promised?
Starting on November 1st, around 24 million Americans are going to start shopping for health insurance on the Affordable Care Act exchanges for next year. The government is currently shut down as Congress fights over whether or not to extend funding that help people pay for that coverage. If they don't reach a deal, all of those people are in for some serious sticker shock.
Does MAGA know that Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are the same thing? And do they also know that the reason we have it is because the Republicans wanted a compromise? Obama wanted something closer to universal health care. He wanted a public option that people could choose that was government funded instead of paying higher prices for private insurance. The Republicans were the ones that said, no, the insurance companies have to make their money. And so Obamacare was the compromise. And what's even more amusing is ACA originally was because of Republican think tanks. They originally came up with the concept of the idea prior to Obama. The individual mandate, which means that everybody was required to have health insurance, was actually proposed by the Heritage Foundation in the late 1980s. This was supposed to be a market-based alternative to universal health care. In 2006, in Massachusetts, Mitt Romney created Romneycare. This used the exact same framework: mandates, subsidies, private insurance exchanges. 2009, 2010, not a single Republican voted for the ACA, even though the entire thing was the same exact framework of the policies that they had proposed, and were perfectly fine with Romneycare having. For all the Republicans bitching and all of the time that they had to think of something to replace ACA, they still have no plan.
It's honestly wild how this has come full circle, because for years people fought against Obamacare, not realizing that the Affordable Care Act they depended on for affordable healthcare was the same thing. Now, with the government shutdown and subsidy renewal on the line, millions of Americans could soon face what it really means to lose it. And without renewal, experts say the average ACA enrollee could see their premiums rise by up to 75% next year. And families that currently pay around $80 to $100 a month for coverage could suddenly be paying $300 or more. And that's not just a political issue. That's rent money, grocery money, and childcare money gone. And hospitals could also see a rise in unpaid bills. And more people might skip doctor visits altogether because they simply can't afford it. So while so many may still joke about Obamacare, which is ACA, the truth is this law has been the difference between having healthcare and going without it. And if the funding doesn't get extended soon, the same people who once wanted it gone might realize just how much they needed it. So guys, what do you think about this? Will Americans finally see the value of the Affordable Care Act now that it's at risk? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more trending stories here with me. Thank you so much for sticking around. My name is Amy, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay blessed.